So listen, I'm sorry, y'all. It took me a moment. Of course, I found every album except for the one I was looking for. Off the wall, definitely. I call this an afro.
Okay, okay.
I
There's a
call that an afro.
it's
Now,
I would call it an afro too. There's a curl. It's not a nat. It's not an afro
now
proper.
I have this one here, Best of Michael. Now that's a proper afro.
Yes, correct.
Okay, when he's got the
Agreed.
little dove that he's
Yeah,
gonna release off into the into Jesus land. And then this album is Music in Me.
that's a
And I
proper
really
afro for
wanna
sure.
this out it's this afro right here that does it for me. It's beautiful. Okay. Now it's not picked out the way we would like. You know, it's got a little dent over here or whatever, but it's
He looks good,
lovely.
right? He looks good. He looks lovely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so he brings this afro into the 70s, into the late 70s, into the disco era, but it's like a curly fro. Like, folks are going, Jerry Curl is on the horizon, clearly,
Mr.
with
Jerry.
the way they are doing this. So Michael moves from afro. It's not just a hair statement, it's a political statement. It's a statement about culture and a statement about love for self that black people were expressing in a time where
Look at that afro.
Jermaine.
Look at that
Immediately
there.
prior to, black people were not able to wear their hair out like that because it was seen as ugly, unattractive, and not something that's going to move you forward. Black people were saying, listen, we're happy with who we are. Michael Jackson saying the same thing with his hair statements in the 60s and the 70s. Let's move into the 80s where we get to this wet and
Mr.
wavy.
Jerry.
Let's get into this Jerry curl
It's
era for
Mr. Jerry
Michael.
Redding. Yeah.
Michael, some would say this is Michael's greatest hair era or his most iconic hair era, right? You look at that Thriller cover, you look at that Victory tour, you look at the Beat It video, the Billie Jean video. Oh Lord, baby, I ain't even got the bad because that's a whole nother thing. When you get to all these things, some people would say this is Michael's most iconic hair space. Would you agree with that? You talk to me about this Jerry Curl. Is this Michael's biggest hair moment, his most iconic hair moment, or is that yet to come? What do you think?
um, I think when people think about Michael Jackson, they think about the Jerry curl, and I'm going to tell you why. He rode that Jerry curl out to the point that it wasn't even in style no more, but he wore it anyway. Okay, you're talking about late '80s, early '90s. Think about the black or white video. That's a Jerry curl. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all might just say it was like a little curl, little wet and wavy. Okay, that's a Jerry curl, 100%.
Hold on, you
He
said black and white is the Jerry curl?
black or white video. Yes, Michael from. I mean,
No,
this is the
ma'am,
bad
that's not a
album.
Jerry
That's
curl.
definitely a Jerry Curl esque. It's in the same family. Now he might not have had it. Okay, so let me tell y'all what a Jerry Curl is for those of you who don't know. We know what it looks like, but the process for a Jerry Curl is actually very damaging to the hair. I would never do this on. I would never do this on
Shout out to
anybody's.
our Uncle Boo who used to do everybody's Jerry curl back in the day. Rest
Right.
in peace
Like
to
I
our
would never do
uncle.
this on anybody, but I think
What you
I've
talking
done
about?
one total in my entire career,
There are black people today who still wear this. I know where they're at.
and
I
they
won't tell
love
y'all
it.
where they're located, but they are located in a place in North Carolina, probably multiple places in North Carolina, where this is still a style to be requested
Yeah,
and given.
yeah. I know a couple of people that's in their grave in the casket with a Jerry curl still,
With a jerry.
and they died in the 2000s. So
Cousin Cora.
and cousin Leon, uh, may they rest in peace. Yeah,
Listen, my grandma was lazy. She didn't have no jerry curl. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
it's still popping. Is what we're trying to say. It's still a thing. It's still a thing. I'm not mad at it because if they like it, I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you said it's damaging.
It's very damaging to the hair. So what you do for a Jerry curl is you relax the hair like a traditional relaxer or what black people call a perm, but it's called a relaxer. So you relax the hair and then you go back over this already chemically processed hair and you do another chemical, complete opposite side of the pH scale. So if anybody knows any basic chemistry, you know that if you mix an acid, something acidic with something very basic, you end up getting an explosion. They offset each other.
Break it down a little closer. How can we understand this?
So think about like in meteorology, when the hot air and the
You're
cold
going
air
too high
meet.
again. Make it a
Okay.
digestible. Break it down for the people.
Okay.
Use
So,
language the
okay.
people will understand
Think about it
what you're
like
trying
this.
to say.
Think about it
Okay,
like this. You got
go
two
ahead.
two rival gangs. Okay?
I like where this is going.
Because I don't know how else.
Okay.
Science isn't
All
working.
right.
So
Science is,
we're gonna
yeah.
take it to the
Break it
street.
down for the people. Okay, go
Beat
ahead.
it. Beat it video. Okay. You got two rival gangs, okay?
Okay.
And gang one has territory. There's an episode of Good Time about this too, the gang wars. Gang one has this territory, gang two has this territory, and they don't mix. So if gang one goes to gang two, it's gonna be a problem. If gang two goes to gang one, it's gonna be a problem. They're gonna be fighting that and the fool and tearing up stuff. But if they stay on their own sides, everybody cool. Okay, that's what's happening with these chemicals are not friends. They're combating each other. So you do a relaxer and then you immediately turn around and you do what is called a permanent wave, which is what a lot of Caucasian women get to curl their hair. If you think about perms of the 1950s, those it's rolled and then you put a chemical on to make the hair chemically curly. So chemically what you're doing is you're breaking disulfide bonds and then you're putting them back together the way you want them to be.
Okay, I want
Okay?
to take a moment, right? And I want to, you know, give you, for as much as we can, right? Go ahead and give you the
Thank
claps
you.
for,
Thank you.
you know, helping us understand in a very common
I
sense
didn't know we
sort
had
of
sound
way.
effects. That actually, I like that.
Because I told you, break it down for the people. Because I don't even know what you're talking. I'm a whole ass lawyer, and I don't know. You talking about the sham calf lifter attached to the rocker on, and
And basically, that's what's happening.
you're
you
saying,
know?
listen, there's two processes happening here. When you put them both together, it's a problem.
Yes.
Okay, you need to go A or you need to go B. You don't need
Yes.
to make these.
You
they are
shouldn't
not
be
a couple.
mixing them together. Now,
Good
can
for
you
you.
mix them together? Absolutely.
So the Jerry Care was damaging, is what you're trying to say.
Very damaging,
Well,
which
how
is
did
why
they
it
keep a
had
head
to
of
be
hair?
kept.
Because a lot of people kept a head of hair with this Jerry Care.
Because again, if you know the rules, you can break the rules, right?
Did they know
Duh.
the rules? No, they just doing whatever.
But that's why they had to keep it so wet. That's why it had to constantly be moisturized, because otherwise the hair was going to break off. There had been too much chemical damage done to the hair for it to be healthy without spraying that whatever, that juices and whatever they would spray, that soul
That's
glow
fair.
on it.
That's fair. Okay, so here's my thing. Okay, so also I think we need to inject in here the Michael conversation. The fact that Michael had a medical emergency that also caused issues with how he could deal with his hair. Right, his hair caught on fire because those
It caught on,
chemicals in the
yep.
fire, like you said, combustibles and all this other shit that you was trying to say earlier that people really don't get.
Mm-hmm.
Michael actually shows you where all that shit you was saying. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Okay, hair catches on fire. He has a medical emergency. He has severe burns to his scalp that causes him have to deal with his hair very differently, on top of the pain that he is experiencing as a result of that. So all of this is also a part of Michael's hair story, right? He has to deal with that. As a stylist, you meet a client who's got a condition, a severe condition. How difficult is that to now try to give them their sense of self back and also have them feel confident in what they can do with their hair? Because I imagine that was Michael's situation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's where you have specialists that do things like that. I tell people all the time, I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose you with anything. What I can do is try and help you. Essentially, because Michael had third-degree burns over his scalp, once you have third-degree burns anywhere, no hair can grow. You have killed the hair follicle, right? There's no way, like, even if you had it on your arms, you wouldn't have hair in those spots, because there is no way that hair can survive that type of trauma. And so Michael, essentially, if you want to make it simple, like in words that people understand, he had basically like alopecia, if you want to think about it like that, which is a hair condition in which hair does not grow for whatever reason. There are multiple forms of alopecia, multiple reasons that people have alopecia. We won't get into that. That's a whole other class. But for people like that, for clients like that, I always recommend them to a specialist. You need to see somebody who specializes in dealing with whatever your condition is. Michael's solution to his third-degree burns, as it should have been, was to wear wigs. right? He had hair in some spots as indicated by his autopsy, but he did not have hair in certain areas, and he certainly didn't have enough hair growth in those areas that he didn't need to wear a wig. So he wore hair pieces, he wore wigs. We so famously know at the 1984 Grammys he had on a wig, you know, that actually looked really good because, you know, nobody knew.
That Jerry Curl wig.
The curl wig, yes.
It was good. No, that was a good one. I want you to talk about the bad era. That's what I want to show, because I think that what we saw with Thriller, like everyone at this point, he's like the biggest thing, right? Period. There's nothing else to say there. We get to Bad, he's still the biggest thing, but his hair starts to transform, I think, at Bad, because he's bringing longer pieces in. What was he doing here? It still looked great. It looked wonderful.
Length. Okay, you know how
That's
you sometimes
not the girl we signed.
That
Shout out
is.
to User too.
Did you want a little length?
But that hair is the girl we signed.
He got
now.
length.
So what did he do? He just added some. He added some extensions.
This is a new wig.
Likely extension. A new
This
wig.
is a new wig.
So are these extensions, or are these
This is
straight
a
up
wig.
wigs? These are wigs.
This is
okay. So how is he? So is his hair likely braided underneath this?
If he had hair underneath, I don't know how much hair he had and how much hair he didn't have. Like I only his stylist.
We don't
would
know
that.
honestly. After that accident in the '80s with the Pepsi commercial, I think it is really difficult to start to understand
This is a nice wig.
That was a good one, right? From a public perspective, how much hair he actually retained or was able to retain as a result of that accident. No, the '80s was a good time. The bad era was really good for the you got the baby hairs. And y'all know y'all hoes love a baby hair.
And I'll tell you something, baby hairs, that's an African thing too. That's an ancestral African thing too. So he had them baby hairs going. As we know, he had a lot of them baby hairs tattooed on that forehead.
Yeah, he looked good in that.
But this is a good wig.
I think we're still in a good hair space here. We don't like, he's got the money, he's got the space to do, like, to make it look really good, right? He always had that to the day he died. Now, he didn't always have good moments, but he always had the space. And now again, we're talking about like how important it is for him, not just as a black person, but as an artist. So that pressure is added, because he know people talking about him, especially in the black community. We talking about your hair, we talking about your, you know, for him, we're talking about your skin, we're talking about the nose, we're talking about everything. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody, especially someone who clearly is struggling with self-acceptance and identity. Give me your thoughts about hair, self-acceptance, identity as a stylist. How much is this important to people when they come and sit in your chair? Self-acceptance, identity.
You know, this is seriously, this is one of the biggest things that really like makes me emotional about being a stylist, because there are so many people who don't love themselves, don't love what they look like, don't love what they don't love anything about themselves. And so for them, their hair being perfect and being in something that's current or expected of them is super, super, super important to them. There have been times that I've done somebody's hair and I turn around in the chair and they're like, oh my gosh, my hair looks good, but oh my God, I look like crap, and my face is, and I need to put makeup on, and I need to, you know, that's a huge, huge thing for women in general. And now you go to black women, and let me say something about black women. I love us, because I can probably recall twice in my 15 years turning a black woman around in my chair and her being like, I need to put makeup on, I look a hot mess. We have found a way, no matter how we wear our hair, it doesn't make a difference whether you want to be natural, braided up, straight, relaxed, it doesn't matter. We have found a way through everything to love ourselves for who we are. The hair just really adds to it. Like, you know, if my hair don't look right today, I might be like, nah, not feeling it. But I still think I look good. I go out in a bonnet and I think I look good. Don't make me no difference. I don't go out in bonnets, but that's, you know, don't make me no difference. And I think a lot of that comes from the years of oppression with our hair where we were forced to cover it. So we learned very quickly that although hair was super important to us back in Africa, we're still who we are, even if our hair is not what we want it to be. And so shout out to black women for that. Like I love us so much, because we do that. But the bad era, let's talk about Michael and this bad era here. Definitely a wig. He wanted a little length to it. It's still a Jerry curl, but it's a little longer Jerry curl. Okay. And this is probably his best look. This is his best hair era to me.
I think he wanted the length. He wanted to throw it back on stage. He wanted to.
Well, and then he had that emotional support curl that went right down in the middle of his head.
Yeah.
This curl right here.
Yeah.
This curl right here, baby. Them.
It looked good. Yeah, he
that made him feel safe.
Okay, and mascara and eyebrows is killing like on that cover, but
he looks like a lioness, doesn't he? This is a special edition. Obviously,
really good.
You guys
he
know
looked
this is
really
a special
good.
edition.
No, I mean I think he liked the length. I think he was just like that was his thing. Like curls for my girls. It could probably start somewhere around here, like where he's really going into the curl era. But he's so committed to it. This is his bag. He loves this bag.
Let me take this record out. This is a special edition, guys. So we've got this look on one side, and then the actual bag cover on the other side.
Yeah, and I mean, these are not bad hair looks. Like it really works for him. It shapes the face. It goes with what he's gonna be doing on stage. Gives him some oomph and some kickback. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't
part in it.
Yeah.
He's all right.
So would you agree the 80s are his hair? This is his hair dominant era. Would you say that's true?
He blew his hair out for Liberian Girl video. Okay. Beautiful.
That blowout was good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Beautiful.
I'm not even gonna front. That looked really good.
Beautiful. He looked good. His hair looked good. It looked like it didn't look like a wig. It looked like his hair.
And like let's be clear, this is keeping with the aesthetic of black men at this time, right? This is 100% in the culture at this time. We move out of that in the 90s, but at this time, he's 100% in the bag in the culture. So I want to be clear, like other black men are wearing styles just like this, right?
Maybe not as long, but yeah.
Maybe not as long, but the cultural and in the late 80s, honestly, we're moving into like Gumby, what they call it, Gumby, like we're moving
Bobby
into
Brown,
like high top fades, and those, we're moving into that, right? Like you said, all about Bobby Brown, right? So Michael, what he's carrying over from the early 80s is starting to move out of fashion, right? But not for my man's. He keeps it. Let's move into the 90s.
It's giving more Diana Ross.
Huh?
It's giving Diana.
Why is she here?
Okay. You don't want her to be, that's fine.
Because we were not even talking about her.
I'm just saying it's giving.
No, I feel like you
Diana.
just trying to find a way. Okay. I'm not going to let you do it. Okay. Let's move into the 90s. So the 90s, let's talk about the Dangerous album. The Dangerous album cover. So up until now, the album covers are Michael in all of his beautiful glory, right?
Yep.
Off the Wall, Trilla.
Off the Wall.
Trilla.
Michael.
And Bad,
Trilla.
right? And
Michael.
then we move into Dangerous, and we don't have Michael on the cover. We have this beautiful abstract, almost in some ways, some sort of abstract art. It's not really abstract. It's a different sort of art
the amusement
piece that
park.
he uses, for his cover. But when we look at what he's doing behind the scenes, of course, his look continues to change. Most notably, the skin is what hits the news, but the hair is not as much discussed because it does look reminiscent of what we have seen in the 80s. Talk about the early 90s.
It looks reminiscent.
We'll just talk about the early 90s, and then we'll talk about some of the music videos. We'll talk about Remember the Time. We'll talk about Give In To Me, and we'll talk about Jam. But let's talk about the general hair. Dangerous era hair starts to become more varied. Let's dig into it. There's our guy. We'll put some pictures up. She's got her phone up, but we'll put some pictures up. He's got the curl. He's got that emotional security curl. It has grown.
It's long now.
It's long.
Yeah.
But talk to us about what he's doing here, the chances he's taken, the what's going on here with Michael's hair. Entering into the early 90s.
We're still in wigland, and that's fine. Okay, because I know girls that wear wigs all the time.
Also, he has no choice, right? Because of we know
of his
that he has like a bald patch here, and we know that things are happening there. So the wigs are almost kind of like the
wigs are a necessity
at this point, right?
I mean, especially when you're a celebrity and image is your image is your brand, right? Michael at this point started pulling that that wig back in a ponytail, though. I think it started getting on his nerves. He started wearing it in a little low ponytail where it would be bouncing like this, when he would be moving. And I like that. I actually like that because it pulls the hair away from his face, so he's not hiding behind his hair.
Are you talking about like the Jam video, the Jam performance, where the hair is pulled back and he's just kind of like, he's just doing his thing, he's vibing out?
Yeah, it's pulled back. A lot of people hide behind their hair. Michael hid behind that emotional support curl, but it's very easy when you have a lot of hair for it to kind of feel like a shield. And you can't really see your face. So we hit the dangerous era, and Michael is pulling his hair back more so that you can see his face. So I love that. It's still the same style of wig. I don't know what you want me to say. Same style, new length. Now, him and Little Richard, according to Little Richard, okay? And I don't think this man was a lawyer, okay? So according to Little Richard, him and Michael, their stylists kind of swapped out wigs. They shared wigs, okay? And we know what Little Richard's hair looked like.
I knew you were going to bring this bullshit up.
They said...
Was it in the notes? No. But I knew your ass would bring it up.
They said that his stylist would borrow, Michael's wig, and then Little Richard his stylist would just cut it up because it was too long for him. Little Richard, he liked his face to show because he knew he was pretty. So he would cut it up into like a mullet kind of thing.
I want to say this, that Michael...
And I love that they shared wigs.
I don't want to...
I love that.
I don't want to talk about any of that bullshit, okay? Because Little Richard is an wop baba doo bop bop bam boom icon, okay? And so is Michael. However, Little Richard's wigs were never askew as anyway. I want to talk about the early 90s because we're talking about the video. So Jam, we saw the pullback pony.
Yes.
Remember the time? Oh my God!
Now
beautiful wigs.
Now
beautiful
I wish
gowns.
that his hair wasn't as greasy and remember the time. But let me tell you something.
Greasy?
That wig was beautiful.
That was a beautiful wig.
It was beautiful. He looked great when he did that little
when he
hair
did
moves.
That right there.
Yeah.
He looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Beautiful face, skin popping, smile popping, teeth popping. Everything is. Oh, it's like a 10 out of 10 for here. Yeah. I also want to say that about Give In To Me video.
Yes, his hair looked good.
Beautiful.
Give In To Me and Dirty Diana.
Beautiful. And Black or White.
Yeah.
We're winning 10 out of 10 on Dangerous for the hair.
Yeah.
We're 10 out of 10. And not just the videos, in public appearances, he looked beautiful. The hair was... who was doing the hair?
Oh, is that a real question? I'm assuming it was Karen.
Karen was doing the makeup.
Karen was doing hair too.
Karen, were you doing hair too? Karen, do you listen to the pod?
Karen was in every damn thing.
Karen, were you doing hair too? Listen, his
hair
looked
good.
Beautiful.
And wait, I'm sorry. I said Dirty Diana. We're not talking about bad. We're talking about Dangerous. Dangerous in the closet. That was even
remember how you said the 80s was the best? The 90s is rivaling it because it was moisturized, it was beautiful, it was laid, it was varied. He had different styles and different pieces that all worked very well, whereas in the 80s it was basically one piece. I'm not saying it wasn't good, it didn't work, it worked, but it was one piece. He really got it. He went into his exploratory stage in the 90s. Well, and he did a great job.
That's true.
I'm just saying the 90s might be the one. I'm just throwing it out there because we didn't even talk about history because the hair was still popping by the time we got to You Were Not Alone.
But I think, I'm going to stick by my original statement.
You sure?
I think that
you can stay there now.
The 80s was a good hair era for him. The 90s was good too, but I still love that 80s curl. It was a true curl.
You know why? Because Thriller got you fucked up. I'm
Thriller,
sorry, I don't know
Beat
if I can cuss.
All of the it just looked
Thriller
really good.
Thriller got y'all fucked up because Thriller takes y'all away. I'm actually thinking it might be the 90s, sis. I'm not even gonna lie to you because it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I'm not saying that the 80s wasn't beautiful. It was beautiful, but it was basically the same. But the 90s gave us variety. And all the variety was good until we get to the late 90s because him and Elizabeth Taylor did some fucked up shit with his hair in the late 90s.
That's not.
But
no.
It's true. But up
true.
until about 98, 97, 98, we were really killing it with variety and beautifulness. Now, I want you to talk to us about based on what you can see, what sort of hair was this?
What are you talking about? What, where was it from?
Wet, yeah, that
whose
wet
hair
baby.
was it from?
Whose hair was it?
Honey, I don't know. Listen, it, I don't know. It could be. I mean, I'm looking at. Okay,
Whose
so I'm
hair was
looking.
this?
It's probably. I mean, obviously, it has to be some kind of curly texture, but this maybe. I don't know. Peruvian, Brazilian. You have to. You got to touch the hair to be able to tell kind of how thick it
We
is.
remember when they were auctioning off that wig. We should have got it while we had the opportunity.
What are we gonna do with a
Does
scared
anyone-
wig? What the hell we finna do with it? I don't want it.
I'll wear it to court.
I don't want
Anyway,
it.
we
Wear
need
the
to know. We need to know what sort of hair it was.
I
I'm looking
don't
at the
know.
'90s wig. It looks like maybe like Michael loved South
Okay,
Americans.
you said he didn't give variety in the '80s. That was a little piece.
Mm,
That looks good. Now that's
you
a good
found
piece.
like the exception doesn't prove the rule.
Okay, that's
The
a good
exception
piece.
or the
there.
exception proves the rule. Like that's the exception.
And
Like
then-
and,
and
that
then-
was good. We ain't got to
And then-
2000s. But so he's using these hair pieces. They're it's comfortable to him to do this like wavy thing.
Yeah,
From the
he likes a
80s,
little
like
curl.
this like jury curl thing. So he continues with that. So we get to the 90s. We're inside the 90s. I'm just like, y'all, we got pictures so to help us better understand like the hair journey. We'll like if I can think of it, y'all know I always say I'm gonna post some shit, but like we'll post it if I can get back to it. Let's go forward to like the history era, okay? So we get to history at You Are Not Alone. You're talking about the You Are Not Alone video, which was different from the You Are Not Alone performance hair for the VMAs. The You Are Not Alone video was that
That's
boy
my
band
favorite hair.
That was that boy band hair.
No, I don't like the video hair. My favorite hair was the '95 MTV VMA performance.
Okay,
that is my favorite of all time on
listen,
Michael Jackson.
I need you to explain to us how that happened because I know it's
What do you mean how that happened? They cut up the wig.
Or like
they
how
cut the wig.
but it looks very like natural. So explain to us what that looks like. What's the process of making that and then making your client look very natural in this moment? Because let me be clear. As fans, we know that Michael had issues with the Pepsi commercial and all that stuff, but a lot of people probably by the 90s, you're supposed to talk about a younger generation, they may not know this and they may just think this is his hair. How do you create this
goal.
beautiful right, but like how do you create this beautiful look? This is beautiful. I'm talking about the VMA performance and then we'll route back to the video with
hair.
That hair. So like tell us, how do you create that look? How do you think Michael's stylist, shout out to Karen or whoever was doing it, how did they create this look?
Listen, every hairstylist will tell you, I don't know what their method was. I wasn't there, and I can only, make an educated guess. It's clearly, obviously, a wig with a natural curl pattern. So this curl pattern
but
is...
let me pause you because you say obviously a wig. Like for the uneducated,
I was
non-professional.
gonna get there, but
yeah,
you
it's not
interrupted
obviously
me.
a wig. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's a wig with a natural curl pattern. I don't know where these curls come from. It looks like it might be like Brazilian or something like that, but I don't know. It's a wig. This is how we can tell it's a wig. And it's really hard to explain it without looking at the picture, without you looking at the picture. But there is this okay, I'm going to blow this up. You see how in the front there's no part where there should be a part. Do you see that? Can you see that?
Yeah, no, I can see there's no part,
Okay.
which is a telltale sign that this is
So-
like a wig. Yeah.
Yes, that's a telltale sign that it's a wig. Because on natural hair, like if it's your natural hair, if you part your hair, even if you have naturally curly hair, you can see the scalp. So when you can't see the scalp and you part it 9 times out of 10, it's a wig, unless it was teased or something like that. Then we have this hairline, which is not a natural hairline. So in the very front, it's hard to tell because he has the pieces on the side coming down, covering the side. But when you have a perfect hairline, normal hairlines have, that's why the girls like to pluck their hairline so it looks sparse in some places. Natural hairline, you're not going to have a dark line like this. You're going to have these high and lows. You're going to have places where you have a lot of hair. You're going to have places where it doesn't look like you have a
So
lot
did
of hair.
Michael have Beijing? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, it's not a Beijing. It's a wig. So you
But
can
did he do
see.
Beijing on the hairline?
No, it's a wig. It's just a straight.
Okay.
That's
Okay, it's just
the
straight-
front
it's
of the
just a
wig.
straight wig.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just the front of the wig. Now they might, for some of his wigs, they may I don't know where his hair was. I know that for the Pepsi commercial, it was this area here that caught on fire. So the likelihood of him having hair around the edges is very high. That's why it looks so natural. When you put a wig on and you pull out some of your natural hair to lay over, it's the same with extensions. It looks more natural because you're using your actual hairline. You're using your actual hair to blend in with the piece. So a lot of his stuff, like that picture I showed of him from the 80s where the piece was pulled back, looked natural because I'm sure they were using his natural hair to cover the wig. So this is a wig for sure. But okay, so like here you can see the little short pieces of his natural are sticking out if you take a look. You see that? So that's probably his hair.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
the rest
okay.
is a wig.
Is a wig. Okay. So, I mean, and listen, and this is not because we're fine with we love a good wig. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
nothing wrong
Michael's
with a wig.
ain't nothing wrong with a wig, you know what I'm saying? And people wear wigs for multiple different things. People have people who are cancer patients, people who are, there's so many different reasons why people may wear a wig. So we love a good wig. We just want it to be good. Michael did good with that. We're in a good era for good wigs, and I wonder who was really like putting him on at this point. Like, if anybody knows for sure, if it was Karen Faye, shout out to Karen Faye. If it was not Karen, don't make that face. Then shout out to whoever was really putting him on, because I don't think he really knew. But so when we get to that "You Are Not Alone" period, that is a beautiful wig for that video. So for the performance, the video actually was good too, but I didn't like it. But it was good. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't like it, but it
And
was good.
I'm pretty sure was the video, I guess the video debuted first. And I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure that you could also, there was no part in his hair in that one. That was I mean, obviously it was a wig. Like, when I say obviously, I mean, like, we just discussed why he was wearing wigs. So it was a wig he had on. But I don't think there was a part in that either. But I can't recall off the top of my head what his hair looked like. But a lot of these things too, you wouldn't notice unless you were a trained professional. Like as a hairstylist, I notice things that most people wouldn't notice, right? Like, because that's what I do. That's my job. So it's different for just regular people. You just look at the overall look and you're like, oh, that looks nice. You don't dissect it, or you're not focusing in or honing in on that one thing. But yeah, 95 VMA performance, the little curly bob wig, top shelf. Best wig
That was
he's
his thing.
had.
Yeah, I
Best
think
wig.
that was a wonderful wig. So I want to talk about, because the late '90s he went back to like this strong, like, longer wig, and they were bad. I'm not even gonna go. They were bad. Let's just say that. Let's move to the
What?
2000s.
Late? You said what? Which ones was bad? They were. No, a lot of them
Remember
were bad.
that he did have one good moment. It was them bouncing curls that we talk about a lot. Them bouncing curls. Remember them bouncing curls look like Goldilocks? You do remember them bouncing
What was
curls?
it? Where was he at there?
I think he was at something with Elizabeth Taylor.
No, he did his hair for Liz. I tell you one thing. If he went out with the
That
dame,
looked good, but
he
then there were
did his
some
hair.
moments. There were some moments in the late '90s. It was just like, what the fuck is happening here? But
And
so
early
and
2000s, it just went downhill because I don't even think he
well,
combed
no,
them
I don't
damn
want to talk
units
about
when he
early
put them
2000s,
on.
because then we get to Invincible, and I actually did. It was a very hard wig, but I didn't hate it.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying.
We in the 90s.
Like
Go
the
ahead.
no. Let's move on to the early 2000s, because we got some other stuff we got to talk about. I'm talking about the early 2000s, and he had this wig. We're talking about Invincible. So think about the Virgin Mega Store, the Virgin Store
Where it
signing
didn't
or
look like he
whatever.
combed his hair. That
Where
one.
I didn't hate that. It was giving like early 2000s boy band feel. Because they had like the spiked hair and the wigs, not the wigs. They had like the spiked hair and shit.
Give me a moment.
I know you're going for it, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I don't know if you guys hated it. If you guys hated it, just let us know. Like, it was the early 2000s, and it was a bad time for Michael with hair. But I did not necessarily hate the early 2000s hair. Am I tripping? I'm tripping?
I mean, listen, if you like it, you like it, and I love that for you. I don't feel like Michael made any attempt I don't know what this was doing. I mean, it was a lot happening here, and really, I was focused on the tracksuit. and he was popping in this. Okay,
It
he
looked
looked good
good
in the
in that. I
tracksuit,
mean, he looked good in that. But the
he's
hair's
got.
not bad. Is the hair bad? It's not bad,
It doesn't
right?
look combed. It doesn't look brushed. It looks a little
Wow,
dirty to
bitch.
me.
It doesn't look combed. That's disrespectful. Let me
It
look at the picture
doesn't.
of my
You asked
goddamn
me a
self.
question and I'm
I'm
answering the
looking at
question.
it myself.
It doesn't look brushed or combed and it looks dirty. It looks like he's been running around with this greasy
No.
head for like
Like,
three
I'm looking at it
weeks.
right now. It.
Maybe he put some mousse or something in it to try and give it a PC look. I don't love it.
I'm
I
just
don't love
looking
it.
at
And then he
like
had a
the
nerve to have this orange eyeshadow on top of that. It was just
girl.
too
Shut
much.
up. We ain't talking about the makeup. We talking about the hair. Talking about the hair.
It was too
We
much.
talking about the hair. The hair doesn't look bad. The eyebrows are gorgeous. First and foremost, his eyebrows look great.
They were tattooed on. They should be gorgeous
All right,
every day.
bitch. Listen, shit. Listen. You gonna make me cuss? We're gonna be on YouTube. I'm trying to do all this cussing. Listen, he looks good here. I think the hair looks fine at the Virgin Megastore signing. I think it actually looks pretty good. I mean, you want this or you want when he put the baby over the balcony? Because that hair was bad. I mean, if you're gonna put the baby over the balcony, at least let your hair be good.
Let me see. And then the
That
30th
wasn't
anniversary,
good.
it looked even worse. I mean,
Okay, I liked it. What y'all think? Okay,
well, I'm
okay,
glad
listen,
you
listen,
liked
listen, listen, listen. If you're watching this podcast right now, which clearly you are, you have made it this far. Congrats.
thank you for staying.
Thank you for being a part of the podcast. How do you feel about the early 2000s, the Invincible
That's
era
a
wigs?
mess.
The Invincible era wigs. Now, listen, bitch, I didn't ask you to jump back in. We've already determined that user 1.5 does not like the Invincible era wigs. But we want to know what the people feel about the Invincible era wigs. I want to talk about the ebony cover because bitch, you ain't gonna stun on my nigga right here. The ebony cover from 2000, I think 8 or 7. I can't remember which year. Was it 2008 or 2007? This is a beautiful piece. I'm looking at it right now. He's gorgeous.
Now this
He's
is a beautiful
gorgeous.
piece.
This
It is a beautiful unit. Yes.
This is my microphone done failed because Michael done entered the chat. He want me to take up for him, and I'm gonna do it.
This is
I
a
got
no.
you,
This
Michael.
is a good. This is
I got you, Michael.
a wonderful
this is
unit.
This is a wonderful unit.
It is.
Talk about it.
It is. It's a wonderful. Let me pull it up.
Because you're
and look at it.
disrespectful.
I actually I got this magazine in real time, like in 2007 when it was delivered to my door. Because yes, that's what they used to do back in the day, children. He looked good. This whole pictorial of him in that Ebony magazine
Why you
was
ain't
fantastic.
put it up? You put everything else up.
I'm
put
about
that
to.
up.
Relax yourself.
I wish you would, because bitch, you've been trying to.
Okay.
That's that wig right there. That we love it.
First of all, he looks spectacular. This white suit, you can't tell, but this white suit with this gold kind of scarf thing and the brooch, he just looks so regal and so old Hollywood in this. He looks amazing. The clef in his chin is popping. Like, it's just wonderful. This particular unit was very well done. It's got a little swoop, little feather back. You know, you girls
ready to
like the
give
little
Karen her
feather in
props?
back.
You ready to give Karen her props?
It's a good length
It's
for
a good
him.
length.
He's
Beautiful.
got his emotional support hair still round by his face because he really doesn't go anywhere unless he got some hair in his face. And it's very nicely cut in layers. It's blown out. It looks like it's freshly done. Kudos to you, Karen. I know she was on set.
Karen, but because I think that's a great wig. Let's talk about This Is It, because we're going to talk about This Is It, and then we're going to move on to our final sort of segments here. Let's talk about This Is It. The hair for This Is It was terrible. Let's talk about it because I don't want us to, if you've been listening to the Black Jackson Estate podcast, you know that we do not lie. We love Michael, and a part of our love for him is absolute honesty for the bullshit that he did and the good things that he did. Let's talk about This Is It. The This Is It hair, when he said, this is it, this is the final curtain call, when he did that whole bit. Let's talk about that hair because I hated it. Talk to me about that wig, because that wig looked like it had been drunk the night before.
You talking about when he did the press conference?
Yes.
Yeah, he threw that one on. I don't think he even tacked it down or nothing. I think he just threw that one on. But they had to drag him out the house because he was high as a damn kite, and they had to golf cart his ass over there after trying to wake him up. So I think they just threw that. I think that was probably on the floor or something, and they just threw it on his head. It wasn't even sitting right. It was sitting up too high. It wasn't really positioned in a place. Let me see if I can find it. It wasn't positioned well. Now, once we
This one
got
was bad. This
to
one
the
was bad.
concert
Yeah.
footage, he went back to. So my theory is a lot of people will go back to the hairstyle that was their heyday, that was their era. A lot of people do that when they get older because it makes them more reflective of their youth, right? Michael, for the This Is It concert footage, went back to Old Faithful, that Jerry curl wig, the bad era, dangerous era. He went back to that wig in 2009.
He said it was curls for my girls. Listen,
Because he liked it.
I want to say this.
Obviously.
I want to say that because that's the reason why we talk about our cousin Leon and our cousin Cora. That's why they kept their Jerry curl, because that was for them a very prominent time in their life where they felt they really were comfortable and loved the way they looked. So I'm not knocking that at all. It was just a bad moment. Like, I think about that wig. That wig almost could have gave its own press conference.
Look at there.
That wig.
But this wig, now what I will say, they did do the little flippy dips. Now, somebody did brush this wig out before they threw it on his head. Somebody said, we can't just send him out there any kind of way. We got to at least brush the wig. So it was, but clearly this is one of them shake and goes or something, because he looks just crazy. I mean,
it's a bad wig. Listen,
it's
and
not
let me say this.
sitting
Let me say this
right.
directly to the people, because
And
I
I
know
think
somebody's
it's
gonna say y'all
supposed to be
talking
a
about
bang
Michael.
to it, but
I
I
want
don't
to
know
say
what's going
this.
on.
This is a bad wig, y'all, and we've all had a bad wig once or twice in our life, and that's fine. This is a really bad wig. It actually does nothing to help the moment. Period.
Yeah.
So if you want to defend this wig, defend it with your mama. Please do not come over here and try to defend this wig, because you will be shredded. I will bring user 2 over here just to comment on the comments about why we shouldn't shred this wig. This is a bad wig. But user
Now,
1.5, I want to talk about this because
well, hold on. I just want to pause for a second. I also would like to give honorary mentions to the Martin Bashir interview wigs. He had a few of them that he rotated out through this interview process that he did with Bashir. Now, we don't give two flying fucks about, excuse me, I know I'm not supposed to be cussing bad, about Martin Bashir. But when Michael was showing him around Neverland, that's a good wig. Okay. Very good wig. That's the best one he had. Now, we also saw this wig in other iterations, but he didn't wash or brush it. This day it was styled, and it looks really, really good.
Y'all know I love Michael. As soon as she put a picture of my smile, I love this nigga right here. Listen,
but then
that was a good wig. That was a good wig, and when he had that green shirt on.
Yes, when he was showing him around Neverland, that was a good wig. But then we go down the rabbit hole, and y'all know which wig I'm about to pull up, right? When he was sitting in that chair, talking about why you can't. I'm not Jack the Ripper. Okay, I don't know what happened here. The hairline is clearly incorrect. It is not correct. It is not. This wig is pushed back.
I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna mute myself. Don't worry.
Too far. I don't know if maybe when he adjusted it, he pushed it by accident. It's not right, and it's a terrible length. It falls to it.
Shout out to user 2 who sent a video that she insisted we watch before we did this episode, and it was about Michael adjusting the wig. A first in the first person. Shout out to everybody who's listened to 12 Days of Christmas. It was an in the first person moment. That was a really bad wig, but I think what made that wig so bad, what made it work? No, girl, put it down. What made the previous wig you showed bad was that he was trying to fix things. This was a moment of trying to fix things, and the wig was not participant. It was not a participant in
that
the fix.
wig was pushed back so damn far. Like,
it was a bad wig.
I don't know what that little shadow area was. I don't know if that was where the tattoo was or what. But like, Michael, your wig don't need to start an inch back from your hairline. It just doesn't work. That was just not. We just weren't in a good place.
Whoever was the primary consultant for wigs in the late 90s to 2000s did not need to have that position. But I also want to say Michael approved of everything that went
He
down. So
did. He
so he
did.
can't you can't divorce him from the choices that were
Those were his
ultimately
choices.
made.
Yep,
These were his choices. They were bad.
they were. And he
Really,
had some
really,
other questionable wigs
really,
in
really
there,
bad.
questionable style choices. The wigs necessarily weren't bad, but it was, as a matter of fact, shout out to MJ Fangirl. She sent a video in our group chat when we were prepping for our Invincible episode with her. And I just want to pull it up because I remember saying this is one of my least favorite wigs. I hate this wig on Michael. And I meant it when I said it. It was just not, it wasn't the business. But I think Michael enjoyed it for whatever reason. And if you guys remember where this is from, please let us know. Let me see here.
I want to say this while she's looking for whatever the fuck she's looking for.
It's this one right
Y'all,
here.
this hair. Okay, she found it.
Oh wait, it makes noise. That one with Steve Harvey.
Oh, we
Michael
can't
looked
see
like a
that,
side
baby.
piece,
We
like
can't
a
see
like
that,
a
baby.
like a side piece
Okay.
girlfriend. Terrible, terrible. Don't like it. It just didn't.
I want to talk about a style you wish he'd given a shot. Because listen, the 90s was tough. She didn't like any of the Invincible era stuff. I actually liked a lot of the Invincible era wigs because I thought they looked dry, but they looked intentional. I don't know how else to say it.
Did
They
they?
looked dry but intentional. And I actually did not hate it. But what do you think would have been a good fit for him, but he just never explored? And that can be at any, I said the late 90s, but that could be at any time. What do you think is something he should have explored? Because he never kind of got out of the 80s bag in a lot of ways. And, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have something that I wish he would have tried in his lifetime because, let's see, we're going late 50s up to 2009. And I'm trying to think of what like the men's hairstyles were for that. I think he was, I mean, he stayed decently current in some cases because he did wear wigs. He was able to kind of switch it up. I think the late 90s kind of and like boy band, you know, hair parted down the middle, kind of short, flip back. Like he did that for like the childhood video. You know what I mean? Like, so I think he did try some stuff out. What I wish he would have done, maybe this is the question I'll answer. I wish he would have left that shoulder length Jerry curl alone. I wish he would have let that die in the 80s when the Jerry curl died. You know, he was bound and damn determined to hold on to that Jerry curl for the rest of his life. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he won't bury it in that wig. Okay? Because we know he was wearing it when they took him to the hospital. So that was his go-to. Okay? And I wish he would have left that alone. I really enjoyed some of the shorter looks on him because I think that they really showed his bone structure. I think he looked very nice with the short hair. Almost boyish. Like even in the childhood video, he looked almost boyish with the short hair. Like I call it the Jonathan Taylor Thomas hair, but if y'all don't know who Jonathan Taylor Thomas is, because we Google it. I'm not finna tell you nothing. But I like that look on him. I think he
Shout out
looks
to Home
good.
Improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he looks
Yeah.
really good there. So I wish he would have burned the Jerry curl and just really stuck with short hair. Now I didn't like his hair in the Diane Sawyer interview. That was a mess. That was a
I'm
mess.
trying to think back, like, oh, okay, with Lisa Marie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
That was not cute. She looked nice.
His marriage hair was not good. I think because he wasn't happy. He didn't want to be married to none of them hoes.
He wanted to be married to
He
Lisa.
loved Lisa, but he clearly didn't want to be married to her because he was unwilling to commit to what marriage would likely take. So, I don't know.
And let's be
His
clear, he
marriage
had
hair
two
was
different wigs for Diane Sawyer, okay? As he tended to want to do. He tended to want to switch out wigs depending on how many days he was going to interview with these people. And good for him, because I would have done the same thing. I'm going to keep you guessing. But this right here, that wasn't it. That slick back, whatever that wasn't it. And he really made poor choices for both wigs, because
A
the
lot of
second
fans
one,
like that hair that you just
don't love it. I don't like it at all.
Okay.
And then this one, he actually looked like Lisa Marie. And I feel like we talked about, he looked like Lisa Marie here with this hair on the second half of this interview. And I really feel like we talked about this on our Patreon, how he had an uncanny ability to look like whatever white woman he was standing next to, or black woman, because he gave Diana Ross sometimes. Sometimes he gave Elizabeth Taylor. So in this instance, he gave Lisa Marie Presley. I'm a hush. I'm a mute myself. You go ahead and go.
Y'all, this has been season 7, episode 1 of the Black Girls Say podcast.
Oh yeah.
I want to also say this, like, I'm not disagreeing.
Am I lying? Y'all tell me that which one is Elizabeth Taylor? You can't even hardly tell.
A working theory of many people is that Michael kind of does attempt to mimic the style and look of particular women that he is currently like ultra enamored with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he does, and that is amazing.
No, that's not how you
That's amazing.
I want to say this. Michael's hair is a journey. Like all Black people have a hair journey. I really want to encourage you guys to go check out HAIRStory. I'm gonna put it back up here again. I got this from Ed McKay in Greensboro. It was $6. It is one of the best. I've kept it for many, many years because it's such a good book. Go check it out. It is so informative about Black hair and Michael's hair. And I think that it's not about Michael, obviously, but it helps you understand better Michael's hair, right? I think it's a wonderful opportunity to learn more about the Black experience and our hair experience, the history of our hair, and how Michael incorporated all of that is engulfed in what you see from him from the 60s through his death in the early 2000s. Michael gave us so many iconic moments for hair. I'm looking at my poster on the wall here, Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, Forget the Dangerous cover, the History album, even Blood on the Dance Floor, which we did not talk about, that pony and Blood on the Dance Floor. You're on mute, baby. You're on mute, baby. But Blood on the
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That wig, though.
We didn't even talk about that.
Top notch.
But, we talk about Invincible, and I really loved a lot of the Invincible wigs. But we want to know what you guys loved. What are your favorite Michael hair moments? What are the ones you wish he would have maybe incorporated? Do you think he should have done this or that? What do you love about what he did? I do think he stayed true to himself, user 1.5, and he continued to kind of try to reinvent and reincorporate those foundational elements of hair that he started with in the 80s. I think he kept that throughout his lifetime. So I want to give you the final word as the expert who brought us so much knowledge into Michael hair, into Black hair. Shout out to all the Black people trying to find their hair story, trying to understand best how to express themselves. It is a journey, baby.
Yeah.
And I hope you're on it. And even not if you're Black, I'm sure other cultures have hair stories. There's none quite as unique, I think, as the Black hair story of the Americas, the Caribbean. And so that's unique in that, and Michael fits into that, but everybody's trying to find out how they fit and what looks good for them. I want you to leave us with some final thoughts about hair, Michael's hair, and the overall topic that we have hopefully given some insight into today.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just want to start as a hairstylist by saying all hair is good hair. There's no hair that is bad hair. It's all hair, and what you do with it is your choice. And you should not be you should never be shamed for what you choose to do with your hair on your head. With that being said, Michael, at minimum, Michael was true to who he felt he was on the inside, and he was true to what he wanted to do with his hair. Now, we don't always love his wig choices, but they were his choices, and I respect that. Um, I love that Michael switched it up for us, but that's so uniquely a black thing. Like I was telling my sister before we got on this, I was trying to figure out why, as black women, we like to change our hair so much. That all goes back to Africa and changing your hair depending on if you're trying to tell somebody something, if you want to indicate this, if you want to say you're married, if you want to say you're at an age where you can, court, all your hair changed based on the message you were trying to convey. And that is so ingrained in us as a people that we continue to do that. And that is something that is very personal to you as a person. And Michael changed his hair based on his mood, his look, the era, and I love that for him. Again, my favorite wig, 1995 VMAs. Travis Payne has taken credit for that, and so thank you, Travis.
Listen, if you have not heard that episode of Us with Travis Payne, shout out to Travis Payne, who we love and adore. He talks about that 1995 VMA performance and his impact on Michael's look and his overall ambiance in that moment. Go back, check out that episode. I agree with you. I love that Michael did what he wanted to do. Full stop.
And hair is like your style choice for clothing. It's whatever moves you. That's why I wore the shirt, do what moves you, because that's really what hair does for people. And it's what it did for Michael, right? And so I love that he was so different from the other artists of the time in just being himself. And he didn't let no little burn on his scalp stop him from being great.
He went through some tough moments. Like, I think sometimes we don't take into account how tough those moments were for him to absorb, someone in the public eye to absorb that, I have this issue that I have to deal with. So Michael Jackson, just an iconic figure from music to even hair, right? He influenced the hair culture. So many people got jerry curls because Michael Jackson had a jerry curl. So many people decided to wear their afro because Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 were wearing their afro, right? And beyond and beyond. Not the bad wig era, but certainly in the good spaces. But we all have bad wig eras because sometimes life puts you in a bad wig era. And I just want to be honest about that. And so Michael went through those spaces, but he always kept his head held high. Yeah. We celebrate the King of Pop in Black History Month, Michael Jackson's hair story. We celebrate the beauty of black hair as Michael Jackson projected it to the world, right? And we're so honored to be able to tell that story. Check out the Black Jackson State podcast. We're going to post some links below. If you're not following us, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Certainly on Instagram, we're over there. Follow us on Patreon. Become a Patreon subscriber. If you want to become a user, you can definitely donate to the Black Jackson State podcast. Shout out to Pamela Price, Alicia Williams. So many people who have donated over the years to the Black Jackson State podcast. You are users for life, baby. And we love you. Stay tuned. We will be back with more Black Jackson Estate content you can only get from a Black millennial perspective on the life and times of the one and only Michael Jackson. User 1.5, shout out your final moments. User 2 could not join us because she does not have her mic. She does not have some things. But she'll be back really soon. If you miss User 2, let her know in the comments that, hey, User 2, Ashley K. Blue, where are you? Okay? Let her know. User 1.5, give us with the final thoughts.
I was trying to do the little heart thing, and then I was like, oh, the kids do this.
They do that, yeah.
Which is so much harder, but okay. Anyway, listen, this was Michael's hair story. We want to hear about your hair story. Did you have the iconic Michael Jackson Thriller jerry curl?
Baby!
Okay. Did you do the Remember the Time blowout?
Hey.
Okay. Did you have an afro? Drop the comments below. We would love to see pictures and we would love to hear your thoughts. But thank you so much for joining us for our season 7 premiere. And we will see you guys on the next episode of the Black Jackson Estate podcast.
Peace, y'all. We'll see you soon.